After the Dragon Ball franchise was brought into a back alley and shot by 20th Century Fox, Toriyama wanted to bring his baby back to life. This led to the creation of Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods, which was not only a great reintroduction to the series, but an awesome movie on its own. Introducing Beerus and Whis, Super Saiyan God, reaffirming just how far some of these characters have come since their debuts, it was overall a great experience. However, I can't say the same for the movie that followed it up, Resurrection F. These movies are polar opposites in terms of quality and what they accomplish. Battle of Gods is a really good movie that sets up the future well, while Resurrection F is a really bad movie that just shoots itself in the foot and forces the future of the series to deal with it. While this video will mainly concern the movie version of this arc, I will bring up the anime version when I feel it's appropriate. While I would say the anime version is actually worse than the movie, most of the big issues are shared between them. Besides, I was forced to rewatch the movie with a friend, so it's all fresh in my mind. The anime arc will never be fresh in my mind, because there's no way you can ever make me rewatch it. No. Yeah, I'm pretty bad at these types of intros, so don't expect all the transitions to be extra smooth or anything. I personally believe that all of the best Dragon Ball fights are those with some meaning or theme set as a backdrop. Like in the Saiyan saga, Vegeta kills Nappa for failing because he believes he's dead weight. He then tells Goku that he can't beat an elite, which Goku responds by saying even a low-class warrior could beat an elite through hard work. He proves both of these beliefs that Vegeta had to be wrong. This is a really good fight, and a lot of the best fights in the series follow similar structure. Roshi vs Goku, Goku vs Frieza, and Goku and Frieza vs Jiren are some notable examples. Anyway, when we take a look at Goku vs Frieza in the Resurrection F saga, we see nothing. It's not a clash of ideals, there's no internal conflicts for the characters to overcome, it's just a fight between Goku and Frieza. Now, not every Dragon Ball fight has to have some deep meaning to it or anything. I just personally think the best ones do. Take a look at Dragon Ball Super Broly. This fight looks so good it makes everything else that came before it look like poop in comparison. Is there any deeper meaning or theme to be found? Not really, it's purely just the Saiyans fighting for their lives. But the raw animation, the choreography, the music, and the great use of different forms and techniques makes this a really good fight regardless. Goku vs Frieza doesn't have anything notable or stand out about it. The animation is okay at best and pretty bad at worst. The movie tries to do a lot of blending between 2D and 3D models and it just doesn't look good. Yet another thing Broly did much better. The only part I would say looks pretty consistently good is when Vegeta finally gets his turn to fight. Goku's 1-inch punch also looks pretty cool, but that's about it. If the characters present did more with their forms or used some cool techniques, I would probably say it's a more interesting fight, but it's literally just 20 minutes of them trading blows. While I'm pretty certain Frieza is a bit stronger than Goku in this fight, it's not by any significant margin. In fact, most of the fight is fairly even between the two. So, while most of the fight is just them going back and forth exchanging hits, the next problem comes to light in the form of Frieza's weakness. Goku and Vegeta both realize his weakness pretty early on, but don't actually reveal it until later. This is because the weakness isn't something that can be exploited right off the bat. You see, while Frieza did have the patience to train and to achieve a new form, he did not have enough patience to actually perfect it. His energy slowly drains over the course of the battle, and once it's low enough, Goku pummels him into the dirt. I think narratively, this weakness is interesting. Mainly because, 1, it's a similar problem to the one he faced on Namek, showing that he still has a ways to go to truly improve himself as a warrior, and 2, it directly contrasts how Goku and Vegeta did work to prevent their energy from draining while in Super Saiyan Blue. It works as a direct parallel, not only to the first battle that Frieza lost in the past, but also to the one that he's losing right now. Unfortunately, this weakness doesn't really make for an interesting fight. It's not something that can be exploited immediately, it's literally just something you have to wait for. So the whole fight, it's just Goku fighting back all while knowing he can't deal any real damage until Frieza loses enough energy. Because of how evenly matched they are in skill at this point, the moment that Goku points this weakness out to Frieza, it's basically game over and the fight is won. Even when Goku is completely taken out by a, basic ray gun, Vegeta tags in at full power to fight a Frieza with no power and the outcome is obvious. I'm not even sure how you go about fixing this to make the fight more interesting. Like I said, from a narrative standpoint, the weakness is great, but from the standpoint of it being the crux of a single fight spanning an entire movie, it makes the fight incredibly boring. Maybe this would work better if it was a full-on arc and this weakness was explored in an early encounter, Maybe Frieza can prematurely fight the Saiyans, realize his weakness, then retreat, or something. I don't really know. This arc might have been doomed from the start. I'm obviously not an anime writer, so I'm not going to act like my fanfiction is better than what the professionals did. But I think the villain being the one with a very defined weakness, while the heroes are not only at their absolute strongest, but are easily able to identify that flaw and overcome it effortlessly, is kind of lame and removes a lot of the tension the minute the weakness is brought up. Typically, it's the heroes that are the ones with problems to overcome. Take a look back at their first clash on Namek. Goku had to pull out literally every trick he knew up to that point, while also making some up on the spot. Ki blast feints in the water, breaking his body's limit with a Kaioken times 20, and an impossibly large spirit bomb. All that, and it still wasn't enough, until he was forced to transcend his limits. And granted, Frieza has the same weakness here as he does in Resurrection F, but considering how the fight itself actually plays out, that weakness is not the focus of the fight. Despite his energy draining, Frieza still fights back out of desperation, similar to how Goku was fighting earlier. This is all brought to a dramatic finish when their clash of ideologies puts them at an impasse. Their beliefs in the core of who they are contribute to an ending that I have thought about every day since I first saw it. So, not only is the fight itself much more engaging than in Resurrection F, but the ending is a great statement to who these characters are and what they believe. Resurrection F has none of that. In fact, I would say this ending not only disrespects who these characters are and how far they've come, but outright insults them to their face. But we'll get to that in a bit. For now, let's focus on another part of this arc that took up a lot of its screen time during the fights: Super Saiyan Blue. Super Saiyan Blue is the absolute worst transformation in the series, and that's mostly due to how it's introduced and handled here. In the previous arc, we saw an introduction to Super Saiyan God, a huge jump in power from what Goku and Vegeta were used to. That arc didn't really even use the transformation all that much. Honestly, the highlight of the movie is when Goku lashes out after transforming back into normal Super Saiyan. It ends with Beerus leaving the Earth alone after seeing that Goku, after only utilizing his God powers through a ritual, is able to tap into it all on his own. This perfectly sets up the next arc to explore that godly power and show the struggle of not only Goku trying to tap into it after only feeling it once, but Vegeta trying to achieve it all on his own. Turns out that they skip all of that and immediately surpass the base level of Super Saiyan God. The importantly named Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan is the next step above Super Saiyan God. There was no clear build-up, there was no discernible explanation for how they even achieved it, they just kinda got it. The movie spends little to no time explaining what the power even is or how they unlocked it. With how bad this is in the movie, it could have been a great opportunity for the anime adaptation to flesh out the transformation while also providing some insight into how they actually achieved it, and they kind of do that. Goku and Vegeta both train with Whis to attempt and harness their new godlike powers, and a big part of their training regimen is ki control. This isn't anything new to the series. We can see something similar to this as early as the 23rd World Tournament, where Kami and Mr. Popo taught Goku how to minimize his energy output with every single movement. They're doing something similar here, but even with this training, it kind of seems like they're building towards Ultra Instinct way more than Super Saiyan Blue, with things like Whis telling them about the potential for the body to move on its own instinctively, something he himself has mastered. But instead of that, this ki control leads to Super Saiyan Blue. We don't even see them unlock it while training or anything. I think the moment they technically get it is when they're trapped in the weird suffocating dimension where they can only move if they control their ki. Then they realize that they unlock it, but don't transform until they fight Frieza. Now, I could go on and on about how truly awful this form is in general, but I'm trying to keep my complaints contained to this arc. With that being said, I can't ignore how the introduction of this form completely undermines the previous form's introduction and then stagnates any interesting developments involving the form going forward for almost every following arc. Seriously, we don't see Goku use normal Super Saiyan God again until the Tournament of Power, and we don't even see Vegeta use it at all until Broly. Blue becomes the new default form and is here for the entirety of the show. There's hardly a clear sense of them mastering the form as time goes on. It doesn't help that Super Saiyan Blue doesn't really do anything special. Like Goku says, it's Super Saiyan God but stacked with Super Saiyan. But it doesn't have any new cool techniques or moves or interesting uses of ki. It's just a faster and more powerful form for them to default to during every fight. Compare this to Ultra Instinct. While it's not perfect and probably could have used a bit more dedicated time training for it specifically, what it did have was actual build-up, as well as a clearly defined purpose. It's the ultimate defensive ability that allows your body to move on its own. Super Saiyan Blue is just a raw stats boost. I would honestly say the same for the past two forms, but honestly, Super Saiyan 3 has the problem of being completely neglected after its introduction. Technically, that's the fault of Super Saiyan God, but I don't really blame Toriyama for wanting to introduce a new form for the revival of the series after that failed abortion hit theaters.
Doing good.
And as for Super Saiyan God being overshadowed, we actually do get some cool insight into the form in DBS Brawly, as well as an interview that dives into the philosophy of the form and its fight scenes. It's a much calmer form that relies on defense, similar to Ultra Instinct, but instead of straight up dodging, the user takes advantage of their opponent's movements and uses that momentum to power their own counterattacks. We even see several techniques that are unique to Super Saiyan God, such as the God Bind. Super Saiyan Blue does not have any cool techniques to call its own, it doesn't have any meaningful significance in the story, it's just, like I said earlier, a stat boost. And although I'm complaining about across the series right now, I want to pin the blame for all of that on this arc for jumping the gun with its introduction. It completely overshadowed Super Saiyan God and gave us nothing in return. Thankfully, the new forms aren't the only thing they ruined in this arc, they also ruined all of the characters. This point may be a bit more controversial, but I don't like how Goku or Vegeta are portrayed in this arc at all. The first thing I want to bring up might actually be the most controversial point, but it's when Whis is scolding the two about their fighting styles. He makes a passing comment about how Goku has an overconfidence issue.
Being too relaxed can also be a weakness. And don't even get me started on the issues with your overconfidence.
I don't really think that this has been an issue with Goku's character at all. At least, not to the degree that Whis claims it is. The first time we see Goku being overconfident is when he shows up at Kami's lookout and talks a big game to Mr. Popo right before getting his ass beat. It's through Kami's teachings that Goku takes every fight seriously, respects his opponents, and never underestimates what they're capable of. After this moment, I think there are a lot of scenes that exemplify traits that can easily be misinterpreted as overconfident when in reality they aren't, such as Goku letting Frieza power up. Goku did not let Frieza reach his full strength because he was confident he could win, but rather because, A, he wanted to shatter Frieza's pride completely for killing Krillin.
The fact is, I don't see the point in fighting you anymore. Your pride is already shot, and in the end, I guess that's good enough for me.
And B, he wanted to test the depths of his strength to see if he could win.
I know all too well this may be my one and only chance to take him down. It's also the only chance I'll ever have to see what he's really made of.
A lot of the series has always been about Goku pushing himself to his limit, seeing just how far he can go with his power. Even if someone is pure evil like Frieza, Goku respects their strength and wants to test his true limits in an all-out battle with them. So, is Goku letting Frieza power up incredibly selfish considering he could kill him right then and there and prevent any further potential tragedies? Yes. Is it overconfident? Not at all. Goku carries this with him all the way through Z. When Gohan finally backs Cell into a corner, Goku cries out to him to finish the fight before Cell can pull out any last surprises.
Gohan! You've backed Cell into a corner! He can't win! And he knows it! There's no telling what he'll do now that he's desperate! End this while you have the chance!
This fight with Kid Buu is a similar instance to Frieza, where Goku wants to test his true limits, so he and Vegeta decide to not fuse, despite it essentially guaranteeing their victory. It's incredibly selfish of Goku to reject the Potara and go at Buu alone, but it's a great testament to his character.
I appreciate the offer, but I want to fight him using nothing but my own strength.
But, Goku, that's...
I know. Sorry to let my pride get in the way during such a dicey time.
His desire to fight and test his true limits is in the forefront, truly expressing his Saiyan pride. Goku certainly has flaws that prevent him from finishing the fight when he knows he can win, but one of those flaws is not overconfidence. So how come Whis points out this apparent overconfidence problem like it's been a recurring issue throughout the series? Why does he say it like it's such a big obvious thing that has been plaguing Goku since his conception? The only time I'm certain Goku was overconfident after his training with Kami was when he encountered Beerus for the first time, and he was very quickly humbled for that. But for one, Goku didn't even know this level of strength existed, and was easily impressed by it and wanted to find a way to surpass it. And two, although I don't want to defend this instance of genuine overconfidence, being completely fair to Goku, the last gods he met were these dudes, so his expectations were probably in the gutter. Anyway, this issue of overconfidence isn't really dealt with a lot in this arc anyway, despite it being a notable problem that Whis brings up. He tells Goku that he's way too relaxed and overconfident, which leaves him open to attack, and this does come back up when Goku has Frieza in a corner and then gets taken out in one hit by a laser gun. while in his most powerful form. I'm taking every chance I can get to complain about this, but then Frieza blows up the planet and Goku gets a pep talk about what he did wrong. I don't really think that this is an overconfidence issue either. Vegeta literally had Frieza right there. He was charging up an attack, then Frieza blew up the planet before he was killed. But I don't think they failed to kill Frieza due to overconfidence. It's certainly presented that way with how he scolds Goku, but Vegeta just didn't kill Frieza fast enough. Another second or two and he was dead. Vegeta wasn't holding out to gloat or anything, he was literally just charging an attack. But, you know, Goku could have killed Frieza the first time he got him at a disadvantage, so I guess that kind of checks out. Goku was yapping quite a bit to Frieza when he had every opportunity to kill him right then and there. Wait, is this not the very same thing he learned back on Namek during his first fight with Frieza? Goku loves fighting, but he also hates killing. He sees the value of both life and strength, sparing some of his previous foes because he wanted to fight them again later. He did this with Piccolo and Vegeta, and demonstrated this virtue to a fault on Namek. He scolded Vegeta for killing the unconscious members of the Ginyu Force. While Vegeta was eliminating a threat, Goku recognized their strength and potential and likely wanted them to live to fight another day. Then we get to the dramatic finale where this virtue shows just how wrong Goku actually is. Frieza is literally sliced in pieces with no energy left. While he is an evil, heartless tyrant, he begs for mercy. Although reluctant, Goku gives him just enough energy to escape the exploding planet. He sees the value that Frieza possesses and wants him to leave in hopes of being able to fight him again. However, unlike Piccolo and Vegeta, who showed some change after being shown mercy, Frieza rejects this mercy, and instead of using the gift that Goku gave him to escape, he uses it to try to kill his enemy one last time. This forces Goku's hand into killing him, something he really didn't want to do, but ended up having to do. This encounter was eye-opening for Goku. It showed him that his merciful ways of sparing strong warriors in hopes of finding them again and them potentially having a change of heart can't apply to everyone. Not everyone is going to accept the mercy you give them. Not everyone is going to grow and change into someone better. Sometimes you just have to accept that and finish the job. This character-defining moment changed Goku forever. While he always hopes that someone evil with incredible strength will change their ways, he still knows when it's necessary to kill them. That's why he urged Gohan to kill Cell when he got the chance. That's why he killed Buu, even remarking during his final push that Buu was an incredible fighter that he would have loved to fight again, while still knowing that killing him was the only way forward. Goku wants to show mercy, but thanks to his fight with Frieza, he knows that mercy isn't always an option. So why does Goku try showing mercy to the very person who taught him that you can't show mercy to everyone? This baffles me more than the overconfident stuff. Why is Goku sparing Frieza, telling him to go off and improve his strength, knowing that he would just come back to kill them all again? This goes beyond that Saiyan pride selfishness seen on Namek and when fighting Buu. This is just pure stupidity. And guess what? Goku sparing Frieza led to the planet getting blown up, and then we scolds him for sparing Frieza in the first place. Maybe it was a bad idea to show mercy to the evil space tyrant who proved he's only capable of evil. Maybe it wasn't super smart to try to convince this heartless demon to leave to fight another day when he helped you learn in the first place that not every villain is going to accept your kindness. Is he stupid? The worst part about this is that Goku doesn't even face any consequences for this mistake. Frieza blows up the planet, and then Whis scolds Goku for sparing Frieza and being cocky and all that. But then Whis just rewinds time and lets Goku undo his mistake? I don't know why these writers were so allergic to letting Vegeta get the kill here. Goku had already lost the fight because he got shot by a generic laser gun while in his strongest form, so now Vegeta can easily clean up what's left. But Goku's the main character, so instead of Vegeta getting his well-earned revenge against an evil space tyrant who bossed him around for years, it's Goku who gets his second chance to finish the fight. How cool and epic. Everything done with Goku in this arc makes me want to vomit. Moving on, Vegeta also has some problems, but thankfully they're not as appalling as Goku's. I'm not a big fan of how he acts like fighting alongside Goku is the end of the world. Actually, Goku agrees with the sentiment that fighting together is the most appalling thing ever. I can understand Saiyan pride and wanting to beat villains through your own strength and that alone, but they literally fought together in the Buu saga. They recognized what had to be done to win, and they put aside an ounce of their pride to do just that. I think proclaiming that you would rather die than fight alongside someone is taking it a bit too far. This isn't helped by the fact that later down the line in Super, they do fight alongside each other willingly. Combine this with the fact that Beerus and Whis make it a point in this arc that Goku and Vegeta would be much stronger if they fought together, and it makes me think that this was supposed to be some kind of character development of its own.
Look at Vegeta just watching. The Saiyans would win if they fought as one.
Yes, if they worked together, they'd clearly be unstoppable, but they're far too proud to do that.
You mean too stupid?
Which just doesn't make any sense. That all might be a bit of a stretch, but it sounds true enough to me to make me upset by it. I don't think Vegeta is written nearly as poorly as Goku, but those passing comments about never wanting to work with Goku again just don't sit well with me. Gohan is one of the key players before Goku and Vegeta show up, and he's a bit more of a mixed bag. First of all, Gohan, what are you wearing? I don't know what Toriyama's obsession with tracksuits was at this point, but I'm sorry, he did not cook with any of them. It looked okay on Goku for the 2 seconds he wore it. I got sick of it pretty quickly when 18 was wearing it. And on Gohan, it just looks awful. Especially with his hair like this and glasses on. This is only worsened in the anime version of the arc because of how bad everything looks already. The style completely removes everyone's muscle and makes them noodles. So when you take this Gohan look with the terrible art direction of the anime, and you get some of the absolute worst shots in Dragon Ball history. Terrible looks aside, Gohan stopped training again! Yay! This is the second of 3 times in which he will do so, but honestly, I'm not too mad at it here. The first time he stopped training, I feel like the fact that he should keep training wasn't properly implanted to him like it should have been. He was supposed to be the protector of Earth now that Goku was gone, but he stopped training because he didn't recognize the importance of being ready. He wasn't a firm believer that a new threat could emerge at any time and that he should always be ready for when that happens. Then Buu wakes up and Gohan doesn't stand a chance at all. However, I think him being granted his ultimate form kind of removed any urgency on his part to train. He was more powerful than ever, and although Buu still beat him after absorbing Gotenks, Goku was back. So although I obviously don't think Gohan made the smart decision to stop training after this, I can understand why he did to a degree. Fast forward to Resurrection F, and he's out of shape to the point where he's uncertain if he can even turn Super Saiyan. He's forced into fighting Frieza's army, and he does a pretty decent job. I won't really say he contributes much specifically though. Like I said, not a fan of how he stopped training, but I can understand it here. It's not the worst thing ever. While on this topic of old characters, another important thing to bring up is how absolutely disgusting this Z Fighter lineup is. This isn't entirely a problem of character regression, but I'm already talking about characters, and I don't know where else in the video this should go, so it's going here. Anyway, look at the squad. Like, really? You guys brought along Master Roshi, someone who was surpassed by all of his students a very long time ago, but didn't bring Yamcha along because you didn't think he could handle it? Literally how? It's difficult to explain how exactly this group pales in comparison to the other groups in the past arcs, so I'll do my best by comparing it to the Z Fighter lineup in the Saiyan Saga. The lineup in the Saiyan Saga are all characters who are very acquainted and have a deep history together. Tien, Yamcha, Krillin, and Chiaotzu are all bros, while Piccolo is their sworn enemy. Even if they haven't all fought him personally, they were all present at the tournament when Goku fought him, and were ready to jump in and save him at any given point. Piccolo stands out as the clear strongest of the group, creating some tension as he confidently stands beside Gohan most of the time, who isn't the weakest, but is easily the most inexperienced in battle. Piccolo being their enemy creates a really interesting dynamic as he sets aside his differences with everyone else to fight alongside them. Not only does this group mesh well together, but the arc highlights the best aspects of each character and the moves they make that are motivated by the core parts of who they are. Yamcha looking out for Krillin by fighting before him, Krillin's outrage as he destroys the remaining Cybermen, Chiaotzu sacrificing himself for Tien, followed by Tien's all-out tri-beam to try and avenge his friend, Piccolo protecting Gohan at the cost of his life when he knew it meant losing the Dragon Balls, Gohan making the active decision to go back and fight with his dad, and even Yajirobe coming out of left field and saving the group not once, but twice despite being scared. Even if some characters don't contribute much in the long run, it's still easy to appreciate what they do because it expresses who they truly are when they're staring death right in the face. As we can see, the Saiyan Saga lineup works as well as it does because every character plays a significant role in the progression of the arc. If even one character was removed or replaced from the lineup, the course of the arc would be completely different. Only Piccolo would sacrifice himself to save Gohan, only Yamcha would offer to fight first to save Krillin, etc. You can't just replace Yamcha here with someone else, have them do the same thing Yamcha did, and make it have the same effect. This is why Resurrection F's lineup does not work as well since all of the characters present are fodder before Goku and Vegeta arrive to fight Frieza. Nothing unique happens during the segment that would warrant this specific lineup of fighters. The only important ones here are Gohan and Piccolo, and that's only for the anime arc. The incompetence of Frieza's army means these characters aren't ever pushed to resort to drastic measures or make tough, character-defining decisions in the heat of the moment. This is what highlighted the Z-Fighters in the Saiyan saga. Sure, they were still just fodder before Goku showed up, but the fights were much more balanced between the two sides, keeping it interesting as everyone expressed the best they had to offer. Everyone did their best to hold their own against Nappa, and honestly, they did a pretty good job and landed some solid hits. Nappa was significantly stronger than all of them, but they were still able to at least fight back. The Z-Fighters in Resurrection F barely struggle with the army, but absolutely can't even compare themselves to Frieza's strength. So once the army is dealt with, you know Goku has to show up soon after that to help. In the Saiyan saga, the fight here is like, we very likely can't beat Nappa outright, but we're sure as hell gonna try to, and our combined strength can make that possible. While Resurrection F is more like, alright, we just dealt with Frieza's army, so now all that's left is Frieza, and he's way out of all of our leagues, so if Goku doesn't get here right now, we're all dead. It's just not interesting or engaging, and is a disservice to these characters because we've seen what they're truly capable of when they're on death's door. Even beyond the Saiyan saga, they've demonstrated incredible feats not just of strength, but of character as well, and it's a shame to see them reduced to fighting basic soldiers that get taken out in one hit each. The anime arc tries to remedy this by introducing this Togama dude as a strong force, only for him to get swapped with Ginyu, who then single-handedly puts everyone out of commission. Literally everyone here except Roshi became leagues stronger than Ginyu in the very next arc from his initial introduction back on Namek. So why are they struggling now? This entire arc just doesn't know what to do with these guys considering this is 100% a Goku movie, and as a result, they don't get a chance to shine. I honestly would have preferred if they just sat on the sidelines rather than being subjected to fodder for the Horde. Amidst all these poorly written characters and power-ups, you may be wondering, is there anything good in this arc? The best thing about this arc by a country mile is Frieza. While Goku and Vegeta got weird changes to their characters that undo a good chunk of what they went through in Z, Frieza actually gets some really good changes. From the moment he wakes up, he's much more calm and collected than usual. When Sorbet tells Frieza that there's some people stronger than him out there, he surely would have died for that if this was Z Frieza. But now, Frieza fully accepts that there's people out there stronger than him, and instead of living in denial, he starts training, something he never conceived the idea of doing before in his life. Although this is similar to the complaint I had about Super Saiyan Blue. His changes don't fully come into fruition here, but the setup is here so he can be even better in the future. So with that being said, I can still appreciate this arc for setting up his character going forward. He's easily the most interesting character out of the entirety of Dragon Ball Super. The anime arc adds a lot of really useless stuff that doesn't have any effect on the plot, but one thing I can appreciate is how it acts as a wake-up call for Gohan. Frieza takes part in torturing Gohan himself. Because he hasn't been training, Gohan has essentially no way of fighting back. However, after Piccolo dies, and he fears that his friends may be next, he uses his entire reserve of energy left to make a signal strong enough for Goku to lock onto with instant transmission. He obviously still balances out with his family and work life, but when it comes time for the Tournament of Power, he isn't all that rusty, and I think this arc is where that started, so that's kinda neat. What else? Jocko is kinda cool. I like some of the music, like during the first Blue transformation. Yeah, that's about all I got. It's not like I want to hate this arc, but I'm having trouble seeing any consistently good aspects of it other than Frieza and kind of Gohan. And Gohan only really gets his moment in the anime arc, not the movie. Speaking of the anime arc, there are quite a number of things that were added that just don't contribute to anything at all. It's really funny to shit on some of this stuff, so here's a quick lightning round of everything the anime arc adds that doesn't add anything. Is that a good name, or is that too repetitive? In the movie, Frieza kills this random soldier named Togama for being annoying, but in the show, he takes him to train, resulting in Togama getting pretty strong. You would think Togama would be a decent threat, but he pretty quickly gets taken out by Gotenks. Yeah, Gotenks randomly shows up. Now that he's here, you would think that Gotenks would contribute a lot to fighting off Frieza, but he pretty quickly unfuses. Frieza recognizes Trunks as the one who killed him back in the Cell Saga, but does nothing with this information other than get a little peeved. Ginyu in his frog body shows up and swaps with Togama. Ginyu is somehow way stronger than ever before now when it was pretty clear back in the Frieza Saga that the bodies he took over couldn't immediately be taken advantage of to the fullest by him. But I guess with Togama specifically, he's such a basic blank check that if you know how to use any form of energy, you can probably use his body better than he can. In his new body, Ginyu puts all the Z-Fighters out of commission. Frieza tries to kill Gohan, but Piccolo jumps in front of him and takes the hit and dies. This is when Gohan has his outburst, so Goku and Vegeta can get to Earth. You would think that Piccolo's death would affect everyone quite a bit, but he pretty quickly gets forgotten about, and nobody cares after their initial reaction. Now Goku and Vegeta are here, and they not only have to fight off Frieza, but also the new and improved Ginyu. With how effortlessly he took everyone else out, you would think Ginyu would be a decent threat, but he pretty quickly gets one-pumped by Vegeta. This entire sequence of events that I described is just random shit happening that has little to no consequence on the overall plot. Tagoma does nothing, Gotenks does nothing, Ginyu does nothing, and so on. Piccolo's death has no meaning in the long run. They literally just did it to make Gohan mad. It's so inconsequential that he gets revived off-screen. Nobody gave a shit about his death other than Gohan. They probably just saw it as another Tuesday or something. It's actually impressive how the anime arc had every opportunity to make this arc better by adding stuff, yet everything they added somehow made the arc worse. The first time I saw this arc in movie form, I thought it was okay, but upon a recent second viewing, my eyes were opened to how truly baffling it all is. Almost every character here is awful, the story is awful, the animation is passable at best. I'm glad this aided to the creation of Super, because ending the Dragon Ball legacy on this would have barely been a step up from Evolution. I need you all to bear with me when I say this next thing, but at least with Bio Brawly...
What?
No, alright. I know that sounds bad.
At least with Bio Brawly, arguably the worst Dragon Ball movie right after Evolution, I don't have to think about it. It's not a canon part of the story, so when I think about the Dragon Ball series as a whole, it doesn't even take the smallest amount of my time or energy to think about. Resurrection F is canon, so despite it technically being a better movie, I would say that the fact its status as a canon part of the show might honestly make it worse in some regard. How they handle the characters in Super Saiyan Blue especially creates a ripple effect throughout the rest of Super that they could never fully recover from because of how repugnant this chapter of the story is.
What's repugnant mean?
It refers to bitch.
This arc is like a giant road bump that got driven over during a road trip, causing the car to crash. The car still works, but it's in pretty bad shape. You continue the road trip, and along the way, the car gets some gradual repairs from different shops. However, even once it's repaired to the best it can be, it still isn't as good as it was before the accident. That is what this arc did to the Dragon Ball franchise, and for that, I consider it to be the worst arc in the series. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go play some Animal Crossing New Leaf on my Nintendo 3DS. At least there, I don't have to sit through Goku getting no-diffed in his most powerful form by a generic laser gun.
Hey Maggie, what do you think about Resurrection F? The Dragon Ball movie, what do you think about that? You don't like it, do you? No, it's a bad movie. Oh, I would never make you watch Resurrection F, Maggie. Oh.